And welcome back to Hannity. Now, there is a disturbing story we have to tell you about, and it involves a violent sexual predator who is set to be released from prison tomorrow in the state of Vermont. Now, here's the backstory. In 2001, Timothy Szad was convicted of sexually assaulting a 13-year-old autistic boy, and to spare the traumatized boy from testifying, Szad was offered a plea deal. And now, after serving his short sentence behind bars, he's about to walk out of prison a free man. And as of this morning, Szad was expected to live with his family in Springfield, Vermont, prompting police in that town to issue a dire warning to its residents. Now, they alerted the public that all blue-eyed, blonde-haired boys between the ages of 12 and 13 should be on the lookout for this man. But now, after the public backlash, Szad will not be residing in Springfield. According to the AP, Vermont prison officials won't say where the state that Szad is planning on moving to, but that they will be contacting the local authorities. Here was reaction. Fox News contributor, former LAPD detective Mark Fuhrman, criminal defense attorney Julio Laboy. Julio, you support this dirtbag who literally kidnapped, restrained, and assaulted a 12-year-old autistic boy? You support this guy getting out of jail?
Absolutely. He's served his time. He had a sentence that a court deemed appropriate. He had a sentence in which a prosecutor was involved in negotiating, and his time is complete. He is now to be released.
Okay, well,
That's
I'll let
the
him
law.
move in. How about I let him move in next to you? You want to live next to this guy?
I may not want him living next to me. However, that doesn't take away from the fact that he is allowed to be released. He has served his time.
You know, Mark, I understand that argument, and there's some truth here, because the prosecutors, they screwed up here. They could have had this guy life in prison. There is some truth to what Julio's saying here.
Well, I don't fault Julio, and really in this instance, you know, the defendant or the suspect, he took advantage of the system, and really some naive investigators and some naive prosecutors, they should have gone for the life sentence. And he has no previous criminal record. Maybe Mr. Laboy can correct me, but is somebody trying to make us believe in Vermont that they arrested a pedophile on his first offense at age 42? I mean, that is absurd. That's ridiculous. He's probably got 35 to 70 other victims that we don't know where they are. We don't know how. He's stalked. He had handcuffs. He didn't assault this child once. He waited and assaulted the child the second time. This is ridiculous. Bernie Madoff got 150 years. This guy gets 11.
That's right. And you have to think about the prosecution in this case. Did they really have to plea this down? Could they not have in some way shielded this young boy in his testimony, maybe by an in-chambers testimony where he's still available for cross-examination and the defendant still gets to exercise his right to confront his accuser, or by closed circuit? It could have been done.
Yeah, I agree with that, Mark.
Yes, it could.
They could have handled it
it's
differently. So we really should be blaming the prosecution here? Because you can't blame the kid. I don't blame the kid for not wanting to testify. Why not put him on tape?
Of course not. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, let's stop here and let's pause for a second. Before the prosecutor gets this case, the detectives handle this case. They do search warrants, they search computers, they search storage lockers, they find paraphernalia, they find notes, they find indicators to just exactly how deep his crimes go. Their failure to do their job and come up with additional victims really created the situation where they didn't want to put this boy on the stand. But like Mr. Laboy said, there is 2 or 3 different ways. You can remove the defendant to another room and give him a video to watch the proceeding. You can do it to the boy. You can videotape with the defense attorney and the prosecutor asking questions. There's many ways to do this, regardless of which state you're in. So yes, the prosecutors dropped the ball.
The recidivism rate's very high, right, Mark?
What was that again, Sean?
The recidivism rate of these pedophiles, once they cross that moral line, they go right back, aren't they?
Yeah, they do. I mean, the statistics are, well, the statistics are who you catch, but who you catch is 16 to 35% of convicted pedophiles reoffend, and I'm sure that it's double that amount that actually are reoffending but not being caught.
Yeah,
I want to take a step back, if I can. You know, Mr. Fuhrman mentioned failure. There's another failure here, in my opinion. This can't be the first time that Vermont has encountered this. So why not is it written into the legislature or into the statutes that someone like him being released or similarly situated is forced to be on parole or community supervision or electronic monitoring or transitioned into a supervised halfway house? Well, there are mechanisms in place that could continue to provide some ease to the community by knowing for sure that he's being monitored.
Former New York Governor Pataki is actually being sued over the issue of if they felt people were likely to act again, that they could literally be incarcerated beyond their sentence. So we'll see how that case ends up. But it's sad. You know, we're putting our kids in jeopardy. We know who this guy is. Guys, thank you very much for being with us.
Absolutely. You know something?
Thank you for having me.
Sean?
Yeah.
Sean?
Yeah.
Sean, one more thing. Wherever he goes, he's going to check in with a law enforcement agency,
That's
and
right.
I certainly hope that law enforcement agency contacts the media so everybody in the country knows.
Yeah, I agree. I hope so, too, and they should. Thank you both.